The lights are off and away they go.
Extremely loose. He's managed to hold on. I think
He missed the pit complete. That is crazy stuff.
Westside Freitas is on the grass on the infield for 4. He slides through. He tags Richard Eckert.
Hello and welcome to Talladega. iSuperSpeedway.com is putting on a all-star race special event tonight. And after last week's Caution Fest at this very track, Talladega, and the dramatic events which followed, we are back again and we are hopeful of a great race tonight. Hello, I am Richard Losper and joining me this evening is Evan Pasocco and Sean Ambrose. Our director tonight is Giancarlo Lenzi. Well guys, before we get into the details of this event, let's cross to Evan to give us some track details first. Evan?
Yeah, we're back at Dega this week, guys, and a non-points race, so it's an all-star race. So we've upped up the laps. We got 75 laps, 200 miles. Again, this track, we were here last week, located in Lincoln, Alabama. Broke ground and opened back in 1969, but the asphalt surface 2.666 miles in length, 4 turns 1 and 2 banked at 33 degrees, and if you want to get really technical, turn 3 at 32.4 and turn 4 at 32.5. The tri-oval can almost be considered a 5th turn at this racetrack. That's 16.5 degrees. Keeping in mind that start-finish line is past the tri-oval, as opposed to Daytona where it is right there in the middle, and also 3 degrees down the back straightaway here tonight, guys.
Thank you very much, Evan. Well, Sean, the weather tonight, what do we got?
You know, Richard, good evening, and good evening to you too, Evan. Tonight we've got some really favorable weather for this event. It's only 79 degrees, relative humidity 58%, which means these cars are going to have a little room to breathe tonight, and we could see some longer runs in the drafting without switching, because these guys won't heat up quite as quickly as they have in previous weeks. Got an east wind at about 2 miles an hour, and we got clear skies tonight. So this should be pretty fortuitous to the drivers tonight. I think we're going to see some fast racing and guys getting those speeds well up around 206, 207, heading down the straights in the pack.
Yeah, it should be interesting, and we'll be following all the action for you. The guys are currently warming up their cars. And remember, folks, you can follow us on Facebook at facebook.com Global Sim Racing Channel, and also on Twitter at GSR Channel is our handle. So if you got any questions or comments about this broadcast, or you just want to stay in touch with us in the world of GSRC, you know where to find us. Well, Evan, we don't have a championship to talk about at this point in time. This is a special event, of course. Talk to us a little bit about how guys came to be in this event.
Yeah, in order to be eligible for this, you had all the A-main winners from seasons 1 and 2, and the top 10 finishers in the championship standings from season 1. The top 5 drivers from the All-Star Open transfer in. They qualified positions 14th through 18th. However, 1st through 13th, again, all on those provisionals. That includes guys like Frank Busilio, Mark Jorgensen Jr., Chaburko, Wofford, Hooks Flag, Josh Hanner, Tanner Mann, Jared Haggerty, Shane McKeechin, Matt Bontempi, Brendan Cattell, and Dana Osborne being the top 3 in on provisionals. And then just moments ago before we went on air, they ran the All-Star Open race. Top 5 going to advance from that. Tony Fenn going to victory lane in that. He will qualify for this evening's race 14th. Chris Jennings takes 15th. Donnie Giarratano 16th. Ramon Evans 17th. And 18th belongs to Glenn Hedrick. Again, those back 5 guys transferring in by winning those top 5 spots just earlier tonight.
Correct, sir. Correct indeed. And they are forming up on the grid right now. The pace car is out there. You've pretty much called the grid as we will see them on lap number 1. Frank Busilia, the 3rd in charge of this race when they have a start. So, Sean, strategies for tonight. What is going to happen? You kind of mentioned some of it in your previous cross. So tell us a little bit more.
Well, like I said, we've got some favorable weather this evening, so these guys aren't going to have to step out of line quite as much. These cars should run a little bit cooler. They do run a fixed setup, so not knowing the details of that setup, I don't know what their tape configuration is, but like I said, with the weather being as it is, the humidity being relatively low, we should see them stay in line a little bit longer and a little bit less switching. Obviously, when you start switching, you get guys bunched up and problems happen. But I expect to see longer green flag runs because of this. That being said, because we have a 75 lap race and our fuel window only being about 30 to 32 laps or so, depending on cautions, of course, you're going to have to make at least one stop in this race, probably two. I think again, cautions will dictate that. You can save fuel on the cautions. So it just, our leaders, as we've seen in the past, they tend to stay out, ride the apron of the track, save fuel, get up into fourth gear, save fuel. So it will be interesting to see how this all plays out, but I am looking for at least two stops out of these guys tonight to make it all the way to the checkered flag.
Alrighty, well, the pace car's coming around the turn number 3 there. And we will be getting a start momentarily. 17 cars have taken the grid with Frank Brasilia in charge. As we said, the last car is Dawn Artman. So we will see the pace car ducking off pretty soon. Our top 4 here, Frank Brasilia, Mark Jorgensen, Brandon Chaburko, and Rodney Wofford. Let us see what happens. The pace car will duck off any second. There it goes. Frank Brasilia in charge of this race. He holds them up a little bit, heading towards the line. As Evan said, the start finish is quite a ways past the tri-oval. They're all just gridding up behind him right now. The 94 machine not taking off right yet. And we see the start finish line. It looked to me, Evan, as if Mark Jorgensen jumped that start slightly.
Yeah, Mark Jorgensen appeared to have the advantage at the start-finish line. Again, the 94, the control car on the bottom at this racetrack. The leader has to wait really till that green flag is actually thrown at the flag stand, but no problem there. The 94 of Brasilia gets a run down the back straightaway. He has help. The 3 machine on his bumper. That's Chaburko, and also the 98 of Greg Hooks is in tow. Meanwhile, Mark Jorgensen Jr. just now finding help in a 3. It's the 7 of Rodney Wofford.
Yeah, and we see that, Sean, they're all pretty clean at this stage. A pretty small field, 17 cars, so you would imagine that they should be able to get through lap 1 without any problems, which they have done.
Yeah, we should sure hope so. Ray Rittenauer in the 87 has dropped way back and is in serious trouble or in serious risk of losing the field at this point. In fact, as I watch him, he is losing his field, and that is not a place you want to be. But right now everybody's in line getting through the turn here without any trouble. So let's go for the long green flag run here as we head down the back stretch.
Yeah, and we have 2 distinct lines forming at the moment. Frank Brasilia and behind him the 3 car of Brandon Chaburko. Very good team if they are to stay that way. On the outside we've got Jorgensen and Wofford. So all nice and clean, just feeling each other out. Even a 75 lap race, so we're only on lap number 2, so no need to rush things.
Yeah, that's for sure. This time by the start-finish line, advantage going to be the 81 of Mark Jorgensen Jr. Him and the 7, can they clear Brasilia into the corner? Yes, they can, barely. And those 2 are able to jump down in line. 81 will be now in control of this field. I can guarantee you'll see that 94 and the 3 car want to step out of line at some point. The 3 wants to go. Brasilia hesitates for a second, and it's going to be the 98 of Greg Hook stepping out with Brandon Chaburko. They're going to make up the outside group now into 3 and 4.
Yeah, and in fact, the 94 machine has he's a 3rd wheel at the moment. He'll need to get a new partner because Chaburko has teamed up now with Greg Hooks by the looks of things, or the other way around. And these guys are making a move on the outside. It looks like they're getting it done as they go through the tri-oval, cross the start-finish line. They may well be able to clear these guys and take up positions 1 and 2, although we see the 98 not clear. So he's going to get hung out to dry there. And indeed he does. So he gets a new partner coming up behind him, and that is the 23 car of, who is the 23? Rod Flag. So things changing up a little bit there.
Yeah, guys, going back to Ray Rittenauer, as we talked about off the start of the race, he dropped back. He's now 5 seconds off the pace, and he won't catch the draft at this point. He's going to need a yellow flag to get back up to everybody, and if we don't get that yellow flag, he'll be lapped, most certainly, as these guys up front, this pack is running much, much faster than he is out there by himself.
Yeah, absolutely. The 87 Ray Rittenauer, he is way off the pace right now, some 6 seconds back from the leader. So somehow he just lost the draft, and he lost that pretty much from the get-go at the very start of the race. So he's got a lot of work to do, and in fact, you're right there, Sean. The only way you can get back into it is with a caution right now. Otherwise, he will go laps down. But back to the front where the action is Brandon Chaberco now being followed by Mark Jorgensen in the 81 car. Greg Hooks, Rodney Wofford behind them. We have somebody on the outside there. That's the number 7 machine. So these guys not yet battling, but feeling each other out there, Evan.
Yeah, we saw that 81 of Jorgensen be able to jump down in line, get to the number 1 spot, and the 3 of Chaberco, the 94 of Busili were working together earlier. I said, don't anticipate those guys to be content to ride in line. The 3 stepped out of line, and the 94 hesitated for the moment. So Chaberco was able to get some help. He got pushed back up to the lead now. The 94 of Busili wants another shot at it. He's going to be helped with the 5, the number 5 Toyota in line there. That's Josh Hanner going to go to the outside. And out of corner number 4, again, that inside lane, you can't push all the way around this racetrack. So on the right side, that outside lane is pretty much the passing lane. If you're down on the bottom, you're riding for the most part. So the 94 and the 5, the only cars up the front of the field that have stepped out of line. The 7 thinks of it, and that's Rodney Wofford wants a piece of it. He's going to hop out to the outside, making that 3 cars as he slide back down to the inside. He's thinking about it. Looks like he'll stay to the high side out of 2.
Hey, guys.
Yeah, it looks like Rodney Wofford can't exactly make up his mind whether he wants to be down on the apron, or down on the yellow line or on the outside. He's chosen the outside at this point in time, as we see Basilia and Jorgensen now take 1 and 2 positions. The 7 following them on the outside. The 8 coming up behind the 7. The 8 is Dana Osborne, and he's going to team up now with Rodney Wofford to try and make a move on the outside. But Sean, we were talking about setup now. These guys were using a fixed setup from the beginning of the championship. I believe that they've changed the setup to be slightly less aggressive, I believe, so that we can try and avoid some of the cautions, caution-filled races that we've had to date.
Yeah, I think Rod Flag, our league organizer, decided to go with something that's a little bit more stable and might produce a better brand of racing than we've seen in previous weeks. But, going back to people who are falling back, Don Artman, the number 99, has dropped all the way back now, too. A little over 4 seconds off the pace. And I can only wonder if Don is trying to drop back and help Ray out. But Ray has fallen so far back, I don't know that Don can be much help. They might just be waiting for that first caution or for, green flag pit stops to cycle through. But they have fallen way off the pace and are in serious trouble if this thing stays under green and getting lapped.
Yeah, I think you're being very kind there, Sean, to Dawn and Ray. I think they've just fallen right off the pace, unfortunately, and not able to keep up with the fast guys in front here. And we have now, Evan, got the 2 distinct lines going there. 3 on the outside that I can see, and 3 on the inside. That's your top 6 cars. And these guys are just cruising around here on lap number 9. No problems at all so far.
The 94 steps out of line. At this point, you're kind of riding. We are going to see our first 3 wide of the night. The 94 to Busilia steps out high, and the 8 car was out there, so that's Dana Osborne. Osborne leads it at the stripe up against the fence. Osborne has help with the 57 of Jared Haggerty. Now it starts to get a little bit dicey there. The 81 through the middle helps Frank Busilia. The 3 of Chaberco, the 23 of Rod Flag. So 3 wide in the middle of this pack. Looks like the 8 and the 57, however, they're not hooked up at the outside lane. Looks like they're going the wrong direction. Dana Osborne saves himself by stepping in line, and the 57 of Jared Haggerty is going to be left hanging out to dry way up against the fence there, guys, in 3 and 4.
Yeah, correct. And a big winner out of that little maneuver has been Rod Flagg, league organizer in the 23 car. He has now moved up. He's going to team up with Josh Hanna, I believe that is in front of him. It's Brandon Tuberco, as we see the 7 shoot to the outside again. Very risky move that I thought, but he gets it done, and the 3 falls in behind him now. Rod Flagg goes back to the inside line, following a group of some 5 cars, as we see the move happening on the outside with the 3 and in front of him the 7 car. So everybody jockeying for position. They all pretty much in a large group there. A couple of guys. The 88 car seems to be falling off. As the 88 car, as I was on him, he got loose, got into the 21, and we have our first caution for the night, Sean.
Yes, and man, I watched that starting to happen there. They were really, really close. Cars moving around, a little unstable. There were 4 of them in line there, and it looked like Giratano might have gotten just a little bit of the rear end of our friend in the 88 car there, and yeah, that didn't end well.
Yeah, and we're getting a replay of that action right now. The 21 car got a little bit of a tail. He got hit, and he's okay pretty much. They do have 2 new cars they can draw on, so the guys will be able to get into the pits and get back there. But unfortunately, our first caution for the night on lap number 12 or probably 11, and we'll see guys possibly ducking into the pits now to get some repairs done or get that new car. But one advantage, Evan, it will bunch the field up again.
Yeah, that was just, that wasn't an incident caused by people being over-aggressive. The 2 car just moved a little bit on the back bumper of the 88, a little bit of bumper grab there, and Glenn Hedrick just got clipped, did a good job of keeping his 21 out of the fence, and it could have been a lot worse. So the field's coming by this time at a corner number 4 on lap 12. Looks like the majority of our leaders, if not all of them, are going to be coming down pit road. The 81 of Jorgensen, the first one down. Busilia will follow suit. And it looks like everybody's going to be coming in for tires and obviously most guys repairs.
Yeah, and we saw that McEachin got some damage in that. Chris Jennings got some damage in that as well. So the 98 of Greg Hooks had some damage. So those guys are going to need to get those fast fixes now, and so they can get moving under top speed.
Yeah, it does look like the pace car is out there by itself at the moment. Every single car did come into the pits. That is the first pace lap. So what we might do right now is take a short break, and we'll come back once they form up behind the pace car on with 1 to go once again, and we'll get back into some green flag racing. Welcome back to iSuperSpeedway.com, where the pace car has just left and we are getting a restart. Frank Basilia still in charge. On his outside, Mark Jorgensen in the 81 car. Behind them, Josh Hanna and Brandon Chapirko, and they form the two lines now. The 94 has taken off, and on his outside, the 81 still there. All good at this point in time. Sean, what are you seeing? Everybody clean?
Well, we're making it 3 wide at the back already as we see Garetano and Walford hooking up here in the 2 and the 7, taking it all the way to the top. With the 88 just there in the middle, Tony Fain getting stuck there in the middle, and those two cars are trying to make their way around the top side of the track to the front.
Well, guys, we know now everybody will have a new car. They're all bunched up once again. The 98 of Greg Hooks is the last car in the pack. You're quite right. They are starting to go 3 wide once again. So this is around the back of the pack. So could cause some problems. The 98 really, as we see a car going really wide there, Evan didn't catch the number.
Yeah, Ramona Evans there got a little bit of a bump. That was through the tri-oval, and the 83 just got a little bit to the apron, got a little bit of help, and nearly got turned by the 57 machine. The 83 was able to hang on, but he has lost the lead draft. Speaking of the lead draft, that caution, guys, was really good for guys like Ray Rittenauer, who had lost the lead draft at the start also.
Yeah, correct. And they were able to get back into the line and get into the pack. Now we've got cars all over the place. Just looking from the back here, we see the 2 right out wide there, trying to find a partner to hook up with. Just in front of him. Oh, he goes now to the inside. The 2 is, of course, Donny Garetano. We spoke about him during the break and making moves, but the 98 starting to fall off the pace now. And strangely, Frank Basilia I'm seeing with some damage, so he must have been involved in that little tap. He's now hooking up with the 98 of Greg Hooks, and hopefully these guys can push each other back into the pack, because they've just lost a little bit of touch there, Sean.
Yeah, and while you were talking there, that all went down. All of a sudden, Frank in the 94 just kind of stepped out of line there and down close to the apron and just started moving back through the field. And now his only hope is to hang on to Greg Hooks there and hope they can make a little pace while these guys up here are still trying to run 3 wide. Only one car up top right now trying to make that work. Well, I take that back. Rodney Walford has stepped out. When we got another car loose and spinning. Watch out, guys, coming across the track. Oh, not good, guys, not good. Another accident here in the field.
Major incident. I see the 5 car involved. We'll get a replay on that. The 5 car heavily involved in all of that. I did not catch the action. I was watching Ramon Evans trying to see where he was. The number 5 already in the pits. Now we're getting the replay. Evan, what did you see there?
That was almost like something you'll see in a real race, and that was the 5 of Josh Hanner down on the bottom. He just got clear of the 81 of Mark Jorgensen Jr. There was no contact, but he just stepped out of line so quickly that when he had to bring that wheel back to center, he got that rear end of the car to step out. He got loose, and a self-spin here. Basically, in the trial, he went down to the apron and had no chance, came back up into traffic, didn't get a chance to lock up the brakes. He nails the 99 car. That car going to get some heavy damage. That's Don Artman. The 7 just barely escaped, but the 2 car is in it as well. Glenn Hendrick picks up a piece of damage also, and about a 4 or 5 car incident down in 1 and 2.
Yeah, the replay picks that up beautifully. So that'll all be on the 5 car, and I have to say, we're starting to get back into that same situation that we've had in some of the previous weeks. Sean there with cautions happening all over the place. Not good for a lot of these guys. I know the organizers are not happy about some of the cautions that are happening. So hopefully these guys can get it together and give us some clean green flag racing. However, we are under caution. We will take a break and come back to you when we are ready to go green once again. Welcome back to Talladega, folks, where we are about to have our third start for the evening. At the moment, Brandon Chaburko is in charge of the field. The lights are out on the pace car, and we should see a start very, very soon. On his outside, we have Mark Jorgensen. Rod Flag has moved up into third position now with Shane McKitchen on the second row of this restart. Dana Osborne's in there with the number 8 car, and Chris Jennings as well in the 88 machine. So now they come through and approaching the tri-oval. The pace car will duck off. Brandon Chaburko will be in charge. Will he take off straight away? Will he hold them back? It is a tendency for these guys at Talladega to hold back a little bit because of the distance. Pace car pulled off. Brandon Chaburko getting his car a little bit revved up. We're on board with Rod Flag at the moment, and Rod Flag is in the third position behind Brandon Chaburko on the inside. Now they gun the engines and they take off, Evan, and a nice clean start there on this opening lap of our third race for the evening, so to speak.
Yeah, get another restart here. Currently working lap 22 of 75, side by side for the number 1 position. The 3 of Chaburko down on the bottom, and the 81 of Jorgensen up on the high side. Neither of them have somebody pushing quite yet. The first car to get to a bumper is going to be the 28. You see the 3 of Chaburko move up high, try to take some air off the 81 to kind of check up their run on the outside lane as he still waits for that 23 of Rod Flag to get to the back bumper. If Rod Flag doesn't get up and start pushing Chaburko, and McKeechan and Jorgensen can get hooked up at a high side, that 81 and 28 may be able to get something going.
And we're getting some great pictures from Rod Flag with his roof camera there, and as we pan across to the 81, we can see them on the outside. Really, really good pictures. 28 pushing the 81 there, and all the way back to the number 2, which is Donny Garatano in kind of last place, but now he's just gone to the inside, and behind him we've got the 21 machine of Glenn Hedrick. These guys are just in line on the inside. So Sean, on this third restart, what will these guys be thinking? I mean, they must be pretty annoyed already by what's happened.
Yeah, I think what they'd like to do is settle in and get a nice green flag run here. They're not going to be able to make it all the way on fuel at this point, so they're still going to need another stop, but I'm going to suspect that everybody would love to run green flag here for at least the next 20 or 30 laps. 2 guys are already out of this race. Ray Rittenauer did not return to the track as he's been disconnected, and doesn't look like Josh Hanner is going to get back on the track either, as I see he's currently showing 5 laps down, and I don't see him on the track.
Yep, indeed, Josh Hanna 5 laps down. I did just have a look for his car. He's not on track. Last in the group at the moment is the 98 machine of Greg Hooks. He's teamed up with Frank Basilia, who since that last run has had a pretty rough time, and he's trying to get back into the lead group. But at this point in time, needs a lot of help from Greg Hooks to do that. In front of them, they have got the 21 machine there of Glenn Hedrick, who now moves to the outside and still jockeying for position here, Evan, and things up front looking pretty good though.
Yeah, they remain too wide and kind of spread out, so things are calm for the moment. 13 cars remain on the lead lap. 2 cars are currently running that are not on the lead lap. Donny Giratano, the number 2, sits 14th spot, 2 laps down, along with the 99 of John Arment. Ray Rittenauer in 18th and Josh Hanner in 17th. Those 2 back guys have since retired from this race, so they'll finish 16th and 17th positions. Rod Flag, close call. The 28 of Shane McKeechan has to go up high. He nearly made contact with a 57 machine on the bottom, so a little bit of evasive action there by the 28. But quickly to note, guys, 3 drivers that qualified into the race that did not show up. Again, we had 17 out of a possible 20. Tanner Mann, Matt Von Tempe, and Brendan Cattell were the drivers that were eligible but did not make the green.
Yeah, correct. And I tell you what, the 80, is that the 88 machine? He's weaving in and out, trying to squeeze down on the guys in the low line. But that is pretty risky because you get that air coming off these cars as they move around at speed. he would be much better off just falling into line, which he does now, thankfully, and it gets an opening and does fall into line behind him. Danny Garantano now. Donny Garantano goes to the outside, teams up with the 21. They are going to try to get a run going. 21 thinks better of it and tucks back in, and now goes back outside again, just in front of Donny. So they are. I thought they were going to plan something, but that did not come off, as the 2 has teamed up with the number 7 car, and these 2 are having a run on the outside there, Sean.
Yeah, they are, and Donnie and Wofford, they've worked together before. We've seen it in past races, so I think right now they're kind of just working with each other, trying to get back up to that front pack. Donnie really needs some help at this point, being 2 laps down. His best bet is to hope for a lucky dog on the next caution, as long as he can keep it up in front of the Don Artman there.
Yeah, and some of the guys that we haven't mentioned here, I'm looking at the 88 of Tony Fenn. Now, he did win the previous race, which was a qualifying race for this race, I guess you could say, and just don't like the attitude of his car. He seems to be weaving around too much for my liking there, Evan.
Yeah, he sits at the what could be considered essentially the tail end of the lead draft in his number 88. The 2 cars that have kind of dropped back just a little bit, they're still in touch. The 98 of Greg Hooks, the 94 of Frank Busilia are 12th and 13th. They're about 4/10 back from that lead draft. But the 88 of Tony Fenn, again, he's kind of towards the back of the pack. He liked that clean air, the AC Delco Chevrolet. Obviously, he was able to walk away and win the All-Star Open earlier. So, I mean, just trying to get it sorted out, and obviously, putting some more fuel in it and whatnot, working that draft, all the dirty air of all those cars in front of him. But, I mean, he sits just kind of hanging out at the back of this lead draft right now in position 11. Things starting to get a little bit more dicey up front. A lot of swerving, slipping, and sliding. You could say a couple of close calls. You really have to be careful. Right there, look at the 81, tries to slide in line. That makes contact. He'll get it done. An aggressive move by Mark Jorgensen Jr. The parts that you got to watch out for, guys, is when those guys up on the top try to pinch the guys on the bottom down for that side draft, and even if they push up just a little bit, obviously they can turn very... Oh, and at the front of the field, the 3's around in the fence.
Absolutely, and I was just
cars.
about to say that they're looking a little dicey up there, and the 3, we'll get a replay of that Brandon Chaberco in the number 3 car. Let's see what happened there. They all coming around nice and clean, and all of a sudden there's somebody getting loose right there in the middle of the pack, and then we're not seeing it just at the moment yet. Here we go.
Jorgensen makes just a...
Oh, he just shoots up to the top there, Evan. I don't know what happened there. Did he get
that's got to be the setup, because that's the second time we've seen that, Sean, is that the 81, again, just moves up. I mean, that's the slightest bit. That should be no issue, but he's right on that left rear, and it turns that 3 around so quickly and so violently into the outside wall. Again, if you look at the onboard on the 81 of Mark Jorgensen Jr., I mean, you don't see anything wrong with what he's doing. All of a sudden, that 3 car just breaks loose, goes up into the fence. But, I mean, we don't normally see that. When I race these cars at Talladega, I don't see this. So it may have to do with that setup change that you were talking about there, Richard, that's causing these cars to get really squirrely there when a car gets on that left rear, because that's going to make it 2 times we've seen that happen. That was out of nowhere, those top 2 guys.
Yeah, we're getting the replay once again, showing exactly what happened there. The number 3 was getting a push from behind, and he just pushed too hard, tapped him at the wrong moment, but that sent him shooting off into the wall there. He's multiple spins, and also the car's been upside down a couple of times, so a very badly damaged car there, but... Evan, that might be the case. These guys might not really be accustomed to this new setup that they've got, and that's causing them some problems.
I mean, that's got to be it, because you should easily be able to push, and you refer to that as bumper grab, and obviously you're not going to be able to hold it steady. I mean, perfectly, but the 81 was doing a phenomenal job. He gave that great run. Him and Chaberco cleared the guys on the outside. They jumped down the line, and again, and that's 2 times tonight, that nearly identical incidents where just the slightest of movement, and that guy breaks loose. So I think it has to do with that the setup change that you were talking about there, Richard, that these guys implemented, Sean.
Well, guys, Chibirko caught just a small piece of Don Artman coming off the wall, and that got Don Artman loose and down into the 88, shot Artman up the track and into the wall, and then got into McEachin, and then McEachin slid down across the nose of Garetano. And so we have several cars that were involved in that, unfortunately, and not all directly involved at the moment it happened.
Yeah, that was a pretty bad accident, that one, because a lot of the accident happened right at the front. And of course, everyone else behind them had nowhere to go when things were going crazy. So a lot of cars involved there. We'll probably see them all ducking into the pits now. The pace car is out there, of course. And we've got Donny Garetano miraculously now at the lead. We'll see they all duck into the pits because no doubt the pit will be open to them on the second lap around. I'm guessing they all duck in there, Evan, and also get an opportunity to top up with fuel.
Yeah, it looks like the 088 is our current race leader. You see the 2-car of Donny Garetano right now lap down. He has his ability to come down, so the Wrangler Chevrolet is going to come down for service on his car. Chibirko, one of the guys that we see up front, the number 3 car, always strong. He's now stuck a lap down. Obviously, Garetano, Don Artman now finds himself a lap down. But Sean mentioned it there that the after effect of that wreck, where the 20 to Shane McEachin getting turned in front of the field, really did most of the damage. And the car that you could say, and arguably the 81 that caused that incident, obviously no intention. But the car that, normally sets off these wrecks at the super speedways continues to drive away fine, and it's all the guys behind them, the innocent bystanders, that get the worst of it.
That's true. Very much so. And yes, we do. Let's see. We've got the lineup now with the 88 behind the pace car. So that's Chris Jennings behind the pace car. I did have a look at Brandon Chibirko. Evan looks like he's got himself a new car. He's coming around, so he will be taking up his position towards the rear of the field, but not too bad an outcome for him, the fact being that he has got a new car.
The problem for him was that he got turned so hard into the outside wall. The issue with that was that he blew his engine immediately, and he was forced to take a tow to pit road. He couldn't clutch it enough to get it down, so he stopped and had to take the tow. That's why he lost a lap. Now, it was a little bit of a shorter tow because he was right in corner number 4, but that's the reason why he was a lap down, is because he had no engine to come down. If he drove in and just went into a stall, he could have got the quick fix. All he would have got was an EOL penalty for pitting before pit road was open. He would have been fine, but the fact that he lost his engine, had to take that 1 or 2 minute tow, and that's how he finds himself in the 3-car 1 lap down.
Yeah, that's correct. So we have guys now. If we look at the field, we've got 12 cars on the lead lap, and then you've got Brandon Chibirko, who is a lap down. Don Artman is the last car in the group here by the looks of things. He is a lap down as well. I did see Donny Garetano out there. Yes, he is back out there. He's 2 laps down. And of course, the other 2 in the field of 17 cars that we started with, Ray Rittenau and Josh Hanna, are out of this race at this point in time. So the last guy in the pack is in fact Donny Garetano, but these guys are a couple of laps down. A lot of work for them to do. But up front, Mark Jorgensen in the 81, he's on the outside of Chris Jennings. In the 88 car, we did mention early on that the 88 car was a little bit squirrely, and I think, Evan, I think you're spot on. The setup is causing a few problems here today.
Yeah, because, we haven't seen that in the other races. And it used to be something that you saw a while back in iRacing, is that bumper grab, where you move on somebody's bumper, and even though that bumper is a flat surface, it just hooks them around. And again, we've seen guys push a lot more aggressively coming down to these final few laps in races past here in this second season and have no issues. But the fact that you mentioned that they're taking a little bit of a different setup that's less aggressive just may mess with the aero again. And it's such a freak thing to see now that to see it happen twice after such, minor movement of the car, the second car in line pushing, you have to figure that it has to attribute in some sort of way to the changes in the setup that these guys made. The lights are off at a pace car going into 3 and 4.
Yeah, I do see that, and we will get a start very, very soon. I just want to make a correction here. I noticed that there are 2 cars with an 88 in the number. So we've got the 088 of Chris Jennings, and then we've got the 88 of Tony Fenn. Sean, I want to come back to you after the restart when we get a moment to talk about whether the weather might have an effect on some of these strange things that we are seeing. However, we are getting ready for a restart right now. Chris Jennings in control of the field on his outside, Mark Jorgensen. In the 3rd place on the 2nd row, we do have Dana Osborne. Good race for him. Also Tony Fenn on his outside. So the pace car about to duck in. We will see it happen there. And now Chris Jennings holds the field back, getting ready for the restart. When will he put the pedal to the metal to get the restart? On his outside, Mark Jorgensen watching to see when he is going to go. Now the green flag flies and off they take. And Mark Jorgensen easily gets a better start. Whoa, and we see guys into each other already. And I think the 21
Dana
cars started that. And now we have
Wow.
another accident. Not good at all, Evan.
That was a big chain reaction there, and it looks like Dana Osborne, again, the 21 machine of Glenn Hendrick, just gets into him, and the car just reacts so violently. And the 8 nearly had it saved. He clipped the machine up there. It looked like the 88 of Tony Fenn. Osborne and Hendrick go down to the apron, and as they do that, more contact. As the 88 gets more contact, Shane McKeechan again is the innocent bystander that gets turned in front of the field. He actually goes up and over a couple times, and again another large amount of cars that are involved. But again, I have no idea why that 8 car got tapped and it reacted so violently.
Yeah, look, something really strange happening here. We do have another caution out now. We'll come back to the situation. I do want to talk to you, Sean. So we've got slightly cooler weather here. Do you think that has an effect on the performance of, well, it does have some effect, but do you think it would have an effect on the way the cars are so twitchy tonight?
I'm shaking my head on this one. I mean, by the book, it shouldn't have much effect on it. I mean, you expect higher temperatures and higher humidity. You've got a slicker track, and you'd expect the lower temperature and the lower relative humidity to maybe get a little bit more grip. But this is kind of strange, and I'm almost starting to wonder if this has got something to do with the build, the most recent build we've seen, and there have been changes continuing. As I've seen, there have been updates, so not really sure. I can't put my finger on it yet, but yeah, we're seeing some strange things here tonight that we haven't seen previously. I mean, that bump that Dana got shouldn't have resulted in what it did. I mean, you wouldn't think, but it did, and unfortunately, just a lot of cars collected in that, and people have got to be running out of quick fixes at this point.
Well, that's what I was just thinking as we see the 98 car just blowing up right there, trying to get back into the pits. He may well be able to coast it into his pit stall. Hopefully that, yes, he should be able to do that fairly easily, but he blew up just as he was coming around towards the pit entry. So you're quite right, Sean. These guys may well run out of quick fixes. We are only on lap 35 out of 75, so 40 laps to go, which is a full stint, more than a full stint on full fuel. So a lot of racing left yet, and if these guys have got to start sitting in the pits getting full repairs, that's going to ruin their chances. So this might become quite a spread out race. But what we've seen tonight, I'm pretty sure won't make anybody happy at all. The 98 has got himself a new car by the looks of things, so that's not too bad for him. But I don't know, Evan, this some really strange stuff happening tonight here.
Yeah, I keep looking at this this replay, and I'm with Sean and you guys on this. I'm watching the onboard. The only thing I can see is right when Glenn Hendrick gets to the back bumper of Dana Osborne, he shifts. But, I mean, even that, there's no way that very, very minor contact should make that 8 step up the hill as violently and as erratically as it did, and that's going to make it 3 times tonight. I know iRacing had a little bit of updates that went on recently on a new build, but also I think a little bit more updates came out on Monday, so not sure if that is affecting it, but again, something has to be going on with either the build or the setup, because there should not be any reason why these cars are reacting so violently to just getting a little bit of a tap, and that's going to maybe change the race, and these guys have now had to take notice that you get this guy on the left side, the left rear of the car, and even if it's very light, you can end up turning him. So this might change the approach of some of the guys mid-pack moving forward, that they have to be super conservative because, again, some strange stuff going on. I'd say maybe it's a full moon, but we're racing into daytime here at Talladega, so can't use that excuse. So some weird stuff going on for sure, though.
Well, we're all baffled by what's going on, but I'm just wondering, has all the accidents or all the contact been happening when they were trying to push into turns? I can't remember whether that's been the case, or has it been on the straighter sections?
Well, that most recent one was on that straight section right coming off the start. The other two that we did see, one of them was in the corner where we saw the 3 get up into the wall. But I mean, you go through the corner, the way the car sits down on the track there when you go into the corner, if you get to the left rear, it's going to be even more unstable than that. But and we can go with that story. But now that we've seen this third one happen in a straight line, kind of left speechless and trying to figure out what could be causing it. But I don't see anything different. Brandon Jaburko has used up his 3rd reset, guys. He's 3 laps down. He's a front runner. He finds himself 15th. Again, 3 laps down.
Yeah, not very fun for him at this point in time. iRacing introduced a thing in the last build called tire curing. And what that means is that as the tire heats up, the carcass of the tire reacts differently to what some of these guys may be used to. I'm just wondering whether that has anything to do with it. I'm still almost certain that a sudden change of setup will have something to do with the whole thing. But we are in the booth scratching our heads as to what is happening out there, as I'm sure, Sean, that the drivers are as well.
Yeah, we've seen a little bit of frustration here in the chat. These guys they were wanting so badly to get a nice, good, clean race in and put on a good show for everybody. And since that first caution, unfortunately, it just seems like they've just, cautions breed cautions, right? And that's what we've seen here over the last 20 laps or so. It's just one right after the other. So, we're going to start this thing when we restart here. We're going to start at the just past the halfway point. So maybe we can get to the finish here, under green flag. I don't know. We've seen some strange things, so let's see what happens, guys.
Well, just going back to the beginning of the race, we did have 12, I think it was 11 green flag laps from the start of the race. So in the beginning, everybody was nice and clean, and things were going along pretty good. And then once we had the first caution, it's just seemed like being caution after caution. But we got what we got. The lights are out on the pace car. The 81 car of Mark Jorgensen will be in control of the race. On his outside, we've got the 088 of Chris Jennings. And then on the second row, Jared Hegarty and Ramon Evans in the 57 and 83 cars respectively. Rod Flagg, our league organizer, he is in the 23 car. They are on the third row. And next to him, of course, the number 7 of Rodney Wofford. No, that can't be right. There is another car in front of him. Let's see. We've got the 83 car there. So they second row. Then we've got the third car. Yes, I was right in the first place. Well, another restart. Lights are out. We will see these guys take off now for, I believe it is the 5th time for a start of a stint. We are on lap number 38. and we are going to hopefully see some good green flag racing. Surely these guys will have learned just before the start, Evan, that look, we got to be more careful here.
Yeah, Glenn Hedrick was asking, I mean, did I move up right there before the contact? And again, so these guys obviously confused by it. So now that it's happened 3 times, they're forced to take note of it and obviously keep this into account. The drivers are still in good spirits. Still, they're talking a little bit of college football championship predictions there under the caution flag. But the pace car gets ready to dive down to pit road. Time to get back to work.
The pace car's just gone off. 81 in control of the race on his outside. As we said, the 088 of Chris Jennings. He holds them back, getting ready for a start as they go through that last section of the tri-oval. Green flag flies. The 81 takes off. Guys behind him taking off a little bit quicker than he did, I would imagine. On the outside now, we've got the 83 and the 088. Let's see if we get a nice, clean green flag run. Sean?
Yeah, let's see. The back of the pack, everybody just kind of stepped in line. Dana Osborne falling in behind Garetano. Chibirko trying to catch up to them as we see Dana Osborne actually step up to the outside. And Garetano staying down low. Chibirko, it looks like he's favoring that inside line right now. But right this second, everybody is in line, behaving themselves, and on their way to hopefully a green flag run here.
Well, guys, we have to remember this is the all-star race. So far, we have seen a lot of action and not the kind of action, Evan, that we want to see. So it's all been caution action and accidents. And this coming from an all-star group, not the best example being set here for the rest of the season.
And this is also the halfway point in the regular season. 6 out of the 12 races have been completed. So this all-star race, obviously not for points. But we did see a good run at the start of this thing. 2-3 wide for the majority of the time. Now you can kind of see that the pace has dropped a little bit. Still going hard at it up front. The 7 of Rodney Wofford trying to get it going with the 088 of Chris Jennings on the high side. But again, a little bit more spread out. These guys trying to calm it down a little bit, but we did see really good racing earlier, and it really hasn't been erratic. Again, most of these cautions, I have to say, have been a little bit strange. So these guys are doing what they can do, and these the way that these cars have been reacting here, and whether it's the setup they got on them or the way the physics are playing out right now with the current iRacing build and updates that they have put on it, it's almost forcing these guys to adapt mid-race to a new way to drive if you can't push the guy.
Yeah, that is probably puzzling them. Sean, we're seeing the number 2 of Donny Garetano just dropping off. I don't think he will have anything available to him to catch up to this pack. He's just falling off too much right now.
And unfortunately for Donny Garetano, being 2 laps down, he really needed to get back up there to try and compete with Don Artman to try and get a lucky dog back here. But he has lost the field, and at this point, really his only hope is another caution, but and we hope we don't get one. But yeah, he is off pace. I'm not really sure why. As we see, looks like, what is that? The 83.
83.
Yeah, off the track and on the apron.
Yeah, he went really wide and got down on the apron. Did manage to catch it. Stayed off the track. Not like before when we had that big accident. And but now he's dropped right off the pace. So 2 cars right off the pace. They may be able to team up to get something going to try and catch back up. But even back to the front here, it seems like Jorgensen is holding on to that lead position on his outside. The 7 making a challenge now behind the Mark Jorgensen machine. We do have a couple of guys jockeying there for position. They're still trying to squeeze each other. I don't think these guys have learned anything from the previous cautions. They are doing business as usual.
Yeah, they're right back at it, so we'll see how it plays out. 3 cars on the outside pushing very strong. The 28 of Shane Keachin, the 3rd car in line. The 2-car tandem that lays the outside row is the 7 Rodney Wofford, and the 088 of Chris Jennings. The 81 of Mark Jorgensen Jr. continues to lead on the bottom. He has help for the 57 of Jared Haggerty as they exit at a corner number 4. 43 in the works. They're going to cross the stripe to take lap number 44. Also, quick note, guys, that was the second time that we had seen Ramon Evans. The leaders are in a big wreck.
Coming down. So I don't know what on earth happened there. Car came down, didn't catch the number right now. We'll see it on replay. But just got into the guy on the inside and caused another accident. We're back on caution once again.
Wow. That one you can't blame on the car. The 088 just riding in line and watching from his onboard, it looks like he was obviously trying to traffic the car in front of him, which was, I believe, Rodney Wofford on the outside, the 7 car. And from the onboard of the 088, it looks like the 7 moved up just a little bit. And as the 088 did that and tried to correct, he just got loose, just like Ramon Evans is. These cars are very, very unstable. And the 088 literally got sideways, like we saw Ramon Evans in the 83 car do, 2 laps ago there on the bottom. And he came down into the 57, the 81 hooks it. I mean, all the leaders hard into the fence. McEachin will be the first car to sneak through it. But, I mean, the 88's in it, a whole handful of cars, and just a mess down the front straightaway. But whatever sources are causing these race cars, whether it be the setup, whether it be the physics, the build, these race cars, guys, are evil. They are very, very unstable.
All right. Well, guys, we're going to take a short break now whilst the cars sort themselves out. In the meantime, we'll try and figure out what we can about what is happening here tonight. So we'll be back very shortly. Welcome back, folks, to Talladega for the iSuperSpeedway.com All-Stars race. So far, we have seen what can best be described as a chaotic race. We still have the pace car out on the track there with the lights on, so we have at least one more lap to go round before we have a restart. We currently have 12 cars on the lead lap still, with the last one showing as being some 29 seconds back. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cars that are laps down. The 088 of Chris Jennings, who was out at the front of the pack on the previous restart, is the last car 1 lap down. And Donny Garetano 2 laps down. Brandon Chaburko 3 laps down. And a couple of guys out of the race. So I believe 15 cars are still in this race. Is that correct, Evan?
Taking a look, I see 15 cars. Yeah, 15 of them are still actively on the racetrack. 12 of them are on the lead lap. Chris Jennings is down 1, Donny Garetano is down 2, and Brandon Chaburko is down 3 laps. The lights again still on the pace cars, so going to be at least 2 more circuits around. Real quick, going to run down the All-Star Open results. Again, that was a qualifier race that went green just before we went on air that determined the final 5 qualifying positions. Just going to run you down through those results. Tony Fenn was able to walk away with a win, and this one finished under caution, by the way. Chris Jennings 2nd, Donny Garetano 3rd, Ramon Evans 4th, and Glenn Hedrick 5th. Those top 5 guys are in tonight's race, the All-Star race. They were able to transfer through. The drivers that did not get that opportunity: Ray Rittenauer the 2nd, finished 6th, Larry Camp 7th, Chad Keane in 8th, John Smith 9th, Dan Harrington in 10th position, Don Artman 11th, 12th, Ron Thompson, 13th, Tommy Hall, and 14th, Ryan Oates was the finishing order in that race.
And the lights still out on the pace car. The current lineup is that we have the 28 car of Shane McKeechan in control of the race right now. Behind him, the 23 car of Rod Flagg, the league organizer. Greg Hooks, who at one point was way back trying to catch up to the pack, finds himself now towards the middle of this race. We are still only on lap 47 of 75. So we have a whole bunch of laps still to go. 3 and 25, 28 laps to go in this race, Sean. Everyone should now have, I believe, enough fuel to go to the end of the race if we can get a green flag run. Frank Basilia, the 3rd, is on the 2nd row on the outside. So that's your top 4. Dana Osborne and Glenn Hedrick in the 3rd row. So a bunch of guys, if they can get a clean race, still in it for the win here in this All-Star race, Sean.
Yeah, I'm still in it, and like you said, right now, as we see them go, they start to go double file. The lights are out on the pace car. It's been kind of a tricky race here, but there are still a lot of guys in this thing. It's anybody's race. We can make it on fuel. If they can manage to stay in line and avoid these little mishaps, we could be looking at a really great finish here. Frank Basilia, he's been all up and down the field, and now he finds himself up here in 4th place, starting on the outside. So, it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out. There's still a lot of cars in this, certainly I think at this point it's anybody's race. Is that we haven't really seen anybody sit up front and just take it away from everybody else yet.
Well, that's correct. I mean, it's difficult to get away. This is super speedway racing, as we all know. Everyone forms into a great big pack, and they all go around. But I don't know. I think that we should be able to get some clean racing if they all just obey the super speedway rules, and that is stay in line, form your 2 lines if you want to, and just try and stay off the bumpers of the car in front of you in the turns. Anyway, we are getting ready for a restart. Shane McKeechan is, as we mentioned, in charge of the race. Rod Flagg on his outside now. Rod Flagg has some beautiful red wheels. There's some significance in that, which we will talk about later if we get an opportunity. although it won't make any difference for this particular race. Pace car now approaching the pit entry. He will be ducking off momentarily. Shane McEachin getting ready for a restart. I'm sure he's thinking, gosh, I just got to get away from everybody here. Pace car ducks in now. Shane McEachin in charge of the race. They come to the last part of the tri-oval. We'll get the green flag as they just turn this corner. And the green flag should fly any second now. Green flag does fly. We have Shane McEachin taking off immediately. And on his outside, Rod Flag immediately charging to the front. He will be clear of Shane McEachin, should be able to duck in on the inside. He chooses not to do that, stays outside, teams up with, I believe that is Greg Hooks behind. No, Greg Hooks is on the inside behind Shane McEachin. So two lines forming once again. Evan, let's hope we get some clean racing this time around.
Yeah, 3 wide back at a pack, the 83 of Remote Evans going the wrong direction. So not a 3 wide for position, I guess you could say, is the 83 just dropping back to the outside, and then they cycle back to double file. But I mean, side by side up front, the 23 of Rod Flag trying to get some action at the front of the field. The 94 of Frank Busilia, good job by him. His Ford again was sent to the back after getting caught up in some incidents there. Was actually tail end of the lead lap at one point. He has actually worked back up and nearly contact as the 81 of Art Jorgensen Jr. goes to the inside, gone into the left rear of the 94. Everybody hangs on through 1 and 2, but Rod Flag trying to get that lead from Shane McEachin.
Yeah, and at this point in time, Sean, you know, these guys are just doing what they used to doing in every single race that they've run so far. And tonight, it certainly has not worked for them. The biggest change for tonight, of course, was the fact that they introduced a new setup. And we go again. Another car getting loose and another accident. Yet again, Evan, the same thing that we've seen over and over again.
Yeah, more contact in this one, the 81 machine, and the 88 of Tony Fenn is not happy and blames that to the 81. I have to agree with him. The 81 we saw, Mark Jorgensen Jr. nearly spin Frank Busilia down into corner number 1, and now the 81 going and could have easily just bump drafted with Glenn Hedrick down the back straightaway. But felt the need to go down and force a 3 wide in 2 lanes of racing. And the 81 car, again, never really could blend back up in line and just shot to the middle. And again, barely tapped the 8 of Dana Osborne. And Dwayne, it's been going all night long. Again, this one a little bit of a different scenario, but still, 81 gets into the 8 car, and immediately his car just goes right up the racetrack. It spins Glenn Hendrick. Hendrick turns the 8. The 8's upside down to 3. The 7, the 99. A big mess, and again, a lot more junk in 3 and 4.
Yeah. Well, I got to say that this was slightly different from the other. Trying to force a 3 wide there, and looks like a little bit of net code involved there as well, if I may say so. The 81 car didn't actually touch the car on his outside, but certainly we should explain that, by the way, as well, Sean, for the viewers. Net code is when you have a ghost contact where, in fact, you don't actually touch the car physically, but iRacing thinks that there is contact, and that causes the issue. So 81 involved there. Pretty horrible stuff there, Sean.
Yeah, lots of cars involved in that have already expended their 3 fast fixes. We've got Osborne and Jabirko and Wofford. The 21 of Glenn Hedrick involved in another incident. Mark Jorgensen. Donnie Garitano getting some of that. I mean, it just, not a good night. Don Artman also involved in that. Lots of damage to cars that were, quite frankly, still in this thing. And you got to wonder if they're still going to be in it or not. They suffered heavy damage. They're going to need a long pit stop to repair these machines. As we've seen, Brandon Jabirko, he is ducked out and disconnected from the field. So is Don Artman. I'm seeing now Don Artman has left the server and is done for the night.
Yeah, in a race like this, you're on lap 52. There's still a whole bunch of laps to go. 23 laps to go, so if your car's damaged beyond repair right now, there's no point of hanging around. And some guys may just be quitting in rage, as they say, doing a rage quit. An all-star race, I guess not, Evan.
And the 7 feels the same way. And Rodney Wofford, who sits on pit road, and that's a terrible break because he tried to coast to his stall and with a blown engine comes up just short. But I mean, Rodney Wofford, after that incident, saying that, I mean, they're better than this. And we've seen these guys be able to put off some green flag laps, race clean, race hard, and do it so that it would be successful. But tonight, just not working out for them, and it's been a rough patch here after that opening green flag stretch. So not the performance that a lot of these guys were looking for, not what they were expecting. But I think that Rodney Wofford shares the general consensus with everybody is that these guys can do better than this, and it's just not falling into place here tonight.
Yeah, and Rodney Wofford sitting in the pits still in that Race Fan Racing Inc. Chevrolet. Seeing here, he's got extensive damage on the car, to the right rear, to the front end. The hood's missing, the front end's missing. He's going to be in there for a while, and not good for him as he continues to lose pace with this field, and now 2 laps down. Tough night for Rodney. But hey, just a quick note, if you ever want to contact Rodney on Twitter, you can get him at racefan_Rod.
Well, guys, we should say straight up that all of these drivers are great drivers. There's no question about that. To get into an all-stars race, you need to prove yourself in a number of other races, and there was an earlier race, as Evan alluded to, and you had to qualify to get in here. We're talking about great drivers like Rod Flagg, Frank Basilia, Shane McKeechan, and a bunch of others. Brandon Chaburko, Dana Osborne, veterans in this series. These guys are used to racing against each other. What is happening tonight is probably just as mystifying to these guys as it is to us up here in the booth, Evan.
Yeah, again, we've had 5 cautions, 5 or 6, and at least over half of those have been caused.
7 at least.
Yeah, and about 5 of those, I think, have been caused by just somebody giving the guy a little bit of a tap and they wreck. Now, this most recent one, I think there was a little bit of over-aggressive driving. One before was like that as well. But a celebration, guys, over the radio. Rodney Wofford is pumped because he found out that he's got one more quick fix, and that 7's going to stay in it. He's excited.
Good luck to him. You would have thought, Sean, that 3 quick fixes is plenty to get you through a 75-lap race on a super speedway. And guys now finding themselves in the pits like Glenn Hedrick with 5 minutes of repairs. These guys are not happy, hey?
Well, Glenn Hendrick seems to be having a good time. He's been pretty lighthearted and upbeat through this whole thing. That's great that Rodney Wofford got that fast repair, but unfortunately all that time that he had to spend there in the pits because of the tow cost him 2 laps. So he's pretty much out of this at this point. With the laps starting to dwindle down, imagine we're going to have about 19, 18 laps left when we go back to green. Well, no, they're double file now, so we'll come across the stripe at lap 55. So 20 laps to go. Hopefully we get a 20-lap shootout to the end, guys. That's what we're looking for here. Let's do it.
Well, let's just catch up on what has happened now. Let's see. Brandon Chaburko is out of the race. He's quit. Ray Rittenau and Josh Hanna quit very, very early. They are 34 laps down, so they quit after about 40 laps or so. And at the moment, our leader is Rod Flagg, the organizer of this event. He's hung in there, kept it pretty clean by himself, I should say. Frank Basilia III on the outside in the 94 car. He has been up and down the order, but finds himself now in second place. The cream rises to the top, they say, Evan. So Frank is our leader in the championship, and he finds himself towards the front in the All-Star race. So a good night for him if he carries it through to the end. In the second row, Shane McKeechin and Greg Hooks. These guys have had up and down. In fact, there's not a single driver here tonight who hasn't had a pretty quirky race.
It's been a race of attrition, a race of endurance. And we get set to take another crack at it. It's going to be 21 laps to go this time by the start-finish line as the pace car gets set to dive down and takes that sharp left-hand turn down to the safety of pit road. Rod Flag is going to be the control car.
And Rod Flag holds them back just a little bit, deciding when to take off. He's probably waiting for the green flag, which should come right now. There's the green flag, and Rod takes off. On the outside, the 94 goes with him. Two lines being formed straight up, all the way back to the last car, which is Donny Garetano. No, it is the 81 of Mark Jorgensen, and Chris Jennings behind him, still 21 behind him. So that's their last car, the 21 of Glenn Hedrick. So now we have two lines. Everybody is racing once again. We are on lap 55, so exactly 20 laps to go on the next time by. Sean, can they do it?
Yes, I want to believe that they can, Richard. Glenn Hedrick has got some significant damage to the car still. I don't think he's going to be a factor in this race going forward. He's out of fast fixes and falling back pretty quick. But yeah, let's get these guys to the front here.
Well, Chris Jennings is the second last car. He's off the pace as well. But then we get into the pack, and the last one in the pack is, in fact, Donny Garetano. 2 lanes of racing at the moment, and all nice and clean. By now, these guys must have tried to figure out what's going on. The number 7 there of Rodney Wofford still in it, to his great surprise. And we see a car going down to the inside. The cars are still doing what they normally do, as you would expect them to. I mean, these guys are good drivers, veteran racers. We see one on the outside. He's loose. And did he cause an accident? I don't believe so.
No caution. He's in the fence, and he kept it out of the rest of the pack. He nearly came down into Dana Osborne. He does use the wall to hang on to it. No caution, but Greg Hook's night effectively could be done from that incident, as he's already dropped multiple seconds behind the lead draft. But I mean, trying to watch that replay, I mean, again, just on the bumper, and the car just turned dead right.
Yeah, guys.
Okay.
Oh,
another wreck.
Jorgensen. Yeah, Jorgensen off the track as well.
The 81. And that one looks like the 57 cutting down on him. Jared Haggerty had a corner too, and knocked the 81 down into the inside wall again on the apron. No more resets for him as the replay goes up, so his night is done, but we stay green once again.
Well, some fortuitous driving by these guys, not getting into each other. The replay shows him just must have got a little bit of a tap there. Hits the wall pretty hard, the 81. So his night is done, as you say, Evan. Back to the action up front. We do have a nice a little thing happening here. Rod Flag and Shane McKeechin teaming up, and on the outside we've got Frank Posilia the third, and behind him the 88 of Tony Fenn. So 2 lines of racing once again, nice and neat. The 57 in behind them there, and the 57 is Jared Hegarty. And also Ramon Evans trying to get in there in the 83 car, and the 7 of Rodney Wofford as well. So we still have a race, Sean, and these guys are still trying. We see again the 7 going up high for no reason. I'm not quite sure why he's doing that. At this point, they've only done 2 or 3 laps on the restart, but he's just got away from the Ramon Evans. Maybe he's a little wary of Ramon. Decides now to come back in behind a couple of cars. And have 2 guys going loose once again. Another accident. This will be a caution for sure.
And that one, the 88 car, is riding the back bumper of the 28, and that's Tony Fenn. Tony Fenn up behind Shane McKeechin, and down the back straightaway. The car in front of him moves down the racetrack, and it just turns Tony Fenn's car for him. And if you watch that from an outside perspective, it looks like the 88 just turned down, but if you look at the onboard, it hooks him right down, and he turns Frank Busilia. Busilia had a strong car all night long. The 88 takes out the 7 car. The 8 picks up some damage as well. Tony Fenn does claim responsibility for the incident, and again, in the 88 does claim that incident, but I watched his replay on the onboard, and it did look like, again, the car just got hooked to the left, without any warning.
Yeah, and we see some chat in the simulator where Glenn Hedrick is saying this is absolutely dumb, but having a bit of laugh about it. So these guys are taking it in good spirits. As we see, the 88 now has blown up his engine, has to take a tow. So he's probably out of it as well. We're losing cars as fast as we can, Sean.
Yeah, we may only wind up with 5 cars at the end of this thing. It's rather unfortunate. That opening segment of those 11 laps, it started out so well. 17 car field. I really felt like we were going to see some green flag pit stops and some strategy at play. Unfortunately, this has turned into a bit of a mess. But, hey, we've got some strong cars here at the front. Chances of getting a green flag finish are not out the door here. There's still a few strong cars involved in this thing, and it's for at least those 5 to 6 cars, it's anybody's race.
Yes, indeed. And I have to say, good on you, Giancarlo. You're catching some brilliant action with some of the camera shots that we're getting here of cars spinning everywhere. The replays are absolutely great. But now I'm seeing 2, 4, 6, about 8 or so cars following the pace car. So not a heck of a lot of cars left in this race. We are live once again now. Let us catch up on what is going on. Rod flag up the front. This is where you want to be without a shadow of doubt, because if this race finishes on a caution, you want to be in front. As we see a car taking off in front of the pace car there, that will be a car. Donny Garatano getting a lucky dog or a wave by and coming around to catch up to the rear of the field. A Rod flag, Shane McKeechan still in it with cars that look whole, at least from where I'm sitting. Jared Hegarty and Ramon Evans now in the second row. Dana Osborne having a good race, Sean, hanging in there. We've seen him have some pretty bad luck in some of the races that I've covered in this series, but he's hanging in there tonight.
Yeah, he is, and he hasn't had a whole lot of luck tonight either. I've been involved in several of these incidents and taken damage, but somehow the dice have rolled just right for him, and he's still up here in the hunt. So Dana Osborne could be a strong possibility for the win here if he can stay out of trouble.
Yeah, well, lap 61 of 75, so 15 laps to go, 14 on the next time by, 15 on the next time by, I should say. Now, look, this could be anybody's race. I mean, it's like who's going to draw the short straw and be out next. It's been a crazy race, Evan. I've not seen anything like it before.
Yeah, it's been strange, and you can relate it to what Sean said. A little bit of a mess. I mean, really, the caution numbers getting up there to almost a painful number here. You only see 9 cars left on the lead lap. Many of them still down pit road. Glenn Hedrick down pit road for tires and some repairs to the front end of his Ford Fusion. But again, there have been a couple of these incidents where it looks like guys are getting a little bit over aggressive and putting the nose where they shouldn't. But also, to be fair, there have been a fair amount where it seems like just normal contact has caused some sort of an issue here tonight as well. So a combination of the two. And again, like Sean said, I was thinking coming into this 75 lap, 17 cars, and the way we started off, great start, that we would be able to see a great race here tonight, but unfortunately gone downhill since that first caution. The cautions breeding cautions, and even it doesn't matter. Even these guys, when they get spread out, that doesn't necessarily solve the issue either, because trouble is really finding these guys in places that they don't normally find some issues.
Yeah, correct. And we are, we've said it before, we are a bit of a loss to know what has happened. But we are on lap 62. There are, in fact, 13 laps left after this, 36 minutes, so plenty of time left. Rod Flag, our league organizer, in charge of the race on the next restart. We still have 11 cars on in the race, I should say, and there's still a race for us to be able to call. And we can only hope, as I'm sure all the drivers, they would be with us in this, that we can only hope that we get some green flags towards the end. Sean, let's have a finish like we started. We started with 11 green flag laps. Let's have the last 11 green flags laps as well.
Hey, I'll take that. Would love to see these these 9 cars that are on the lead lap. I'd love to see them battle for the lead and finish this thing under a green flag. I don't know how good Glenn Hendrick's chances are. He did not get a whole lot of repair there in the pits and still running with a little bit of damage. So if he can hook on to somebody, I mean, he could be a contender. But, Frank Basilia, he's kind of biding his time. I expect that he may make his way up to the front before this thing is all said and done. I'm not counting him out at all. In fact, I think he has a really good chance to win this thing, just based on what we've seen out of him in previous races. I almost feel like he might even be sandbagging a little bit to this point, but I don't want to throw that out there as an incrimination to him. But I do expect to see him at the front before this thing is over.
Well, I'm going to get you guys to put all of your experience on the line here and make a call. Who do you think will come away with this one?
I'm going to stick with Frank. Frank Basilia has got my vote right now. The number 94, currently sitting in 7th place. I think has a really good chance to win this race.
What do you think, Evan?
I think I'm gonna have to go with the that number 28 Toyota of Shane McEachin. Gonna be able to steal this one. He's gonna be starting the outside of that front row.
Yeah, my sentimental pick would be Dana Osborne. I would love to see him win a race. He's been close a few times. But I do think that the team of Shane McEachin and Rod Flag should be strong going to the end of this race. And I think I'll pick Rod Flag to come away with it. But hey, anything can happen. 11 cars still on the lead, in the race, we should say, and they're all on the lead lap. The pace car has just ducked off, so we're on restart right now. Rod Flag in charge of the group as they get ready to take off. We are on board with Jared Hegarty at this point in time, and we want to see what things look like. As we see now, Rod Flag taking off. Shane McEachin a little slow to take off with him. Can he duck into the inside to get the teamwork going? He decides to stay on the outside. The 57 of Jared Hegarty now slots in behind Rod Flag as they go pretty close to each other. That squeezing, I think, has got part of it. As they touch, and of course, there you go. The 57 and Shane McEachin in the 28 got together. I think that Shane McEachin tried the squeeze a bit too hard there, Evan.
Yeah, and the 57, he wants to replay. The 57 goes up the track, but he is following the 23 of Rod Flag. He's following the guy in front of him. And the 28 obviously trying to get the side draft. That's the objective of that. But, Dana Osborne, again, just getting innocently caught up. 3 cars involved in that. The green flag stays out. Now the 83 of Ramon Evans nearly loses it by himself again. And Rod Flag is going to manually throw the caution for that incident. And, again, guys, back under yellow we go.
Yeah, well, wow. Certainly iRacing did not throw a caution for what looked to be a fairly significant incident. And Rod Flag probably doing the right thing there, throwing the caution flag. So Rod Caution Flag is what we'll call him from now onwards.
Good call, Richard.
Okay. Well, we're going to take a short break while they're under caution here, guys, and we'll come back with what should be about 10 laps of racing. Well, it'll be about 6 laps of racing when we finally go green once again. So we'll be back shortly. Welcome back, folks, to the iSuperSpeedway.com All-Star Race here at Talladega. Well, you know, guys, when I was a kid, many years ago, when you did something good, the teacher used to hand out stars, right? Gold stars and red stars and all kinds of stars. And you know, as a kid, I hung out for those stars. I wanted to get the gold star because that was the best one. So in this race, it's an all-star race. How many stars do you think we should be giving out to these drivers tonight?
I think maybe you can give one to the guy that survives it and puts it in victory lane, because that'll be a accomplishment to be able to, battle your way through this, survive to the end.
Quite right, Sean. Did you also get the gold stars when you were at school?
Well, yeah, Richard. Unfortunately, I am old enough to remember gold stars. And I received lots of them when I was a kid, by the way. So I was a model student.
That's what he tells us. That's the official story.
Dripping with sarcasm as I say that. But I think if you asked Rod Flag right now, I think he would say that this has fallen way short of his expectations tonight. And it's been unfortunate because, again, we keep going back to how well it started. So here we go, getting ready to restart this thing. I'll hand it back to you, Richard.
All right, we still have the pace lights on the pace car, so we've got another lap to go around.
Yeah,
yet. Plenty of time. Now let's just recap. So Shane McKeechan on the 28 car is now in control of the race. Ramon Evans in the 83 on his outside. The 088 of Chris Jennings, been involved in a couple of incidents, but then again, who hasn't in this race? He is in position at number 3, and Greg Hooks on his outside in the 98 car. If we go further back, Rod Flag is actually in 6th place here. Still my pick to win this race. I think his strategy in changing those tires right at the end there might be a good one. However, we do have quite a few laps left in the race. They're on lap 69 right now, Evan. That means 6 laps to go, and the pace car lights are still on. No, the pace car lights are off right now, so we will get a start. 6 laps it'll be, Evan, and I have no doubt that whoever is in the front here in the next lap, if we do get another caution, will of course win this race. And that might actually put a damper on Rod Flag's chances. So we have to be going green for the entire 6 laps for people to try and make up positions here.
Yeah, we're going to come to green, and you said 6 to go, lap 70 of 75. If we get 2 laps in and then we see a caution, from that point on, if we see a yellow, the race will end under yellow flag conditions unless we get the white flag. If you get a really quick caution here, you may get a 1 or 2 lap shootout, but if we get, maybe 2 circuits in here and then we see a yellow, this race is going to end. So these drivers know that. So they're going to be racing super hard for that number 1 spot here as we roll out of 4.
And these guys give no quarter. They race hard, and I don't expect they'll be doing anything different as we do see the pace car getting ready to duck off. Shane McKeechan has now led a couple of laps. The pace car goes off. Shane McKeechan doesn't hold back. He's starting to rev up the engine on the 83 on his outside. Actually does hold him back quite a bit, and now they'll get the green flag in a second or so. Green flag flies. Shane McKeechan takes off. Ramon Evans goes with him. On the outside, on the inside behind him, we've got the 088 of Chris Jennings slotting in behind Shane. And Greg Hooks on the outside in the 98 car slotting in behind Ramon Evans. No, Greg Hooks decides to cut back inside, leaving the 83 on the outside. So far, so good, Evan.
Here comes Frank Basilia coming up here towards the front, making his way, sitting in 3rd. Only 1 car up top. That would be the 83 of Ramon Evans getting hung up there by himself. No momentum at all. But Frank Basilia kind of sitting in the catbird seat right now as he's watching Shane McKeechan and Chris Jennings go at it up front there.
And he's not happy with Chris Jennings. Chris Jennings, Basilia had his nose in there, and the 088 chopped him off at a 94. Backed out of it and could have easily held his own and turned that National Guard Chevrolet of Chris Jennings. So Frank Basilia is not happy with that car in 2nd place. He rides in 3rd, and for a moment we get single file to catch our breaths as we get set for a shootout. Look at the 088 to the bottom, a dangerous move, and he's going to go side by side Shane McKeechan's not going to like that. Now Frank Busilia, who's had some issues with that 088, is going to try to push that 28 around him.
Exactly, and you see where Frank went immediately. I'm sorry, Richard, what do you see? Oh, yeah, definitely a close call, but Frank went up top there with Shane McKeechan as you didn't suspect he was going to hang there with Jennings.
Well, some crazy stuff from the 088 car. They're trying to go on the inside of Shane McKeechan on the previous lap. Now they are deciding to dump him and team up with each other and leave him high and dry. He's still hanging in there on the inside line and will be able to recover to get in behind Frank Busilia. But at the point now on the outside, we have the 23 of Rod Flagg, and in front of him, the 98 of Greg Hooks, making a run on the outside on lap 72. 4 laps to go next time by. Rod Flagg just dropped off there for a second. We've got the 83 going on the inside, the 98 still on the outside. Some really good racing happening right now. The 98 left high and dry. The 23 goes inside, Evan. Some good racing. The 98 falling back in now into line. So all single file at the moment.
Oh, and the 94 looks high, and Shane McKeechan tries to put a little bit of a block on him. They nearly make contact, and now the 088 still not making any friends. He's going to leave the 94 out to dry, pushes him up the hill a little bit, and now Frank Busilia is the driver that's going to be trapped on the outside down the back straightaway. That last time by was 3 to go, guys. Busilia's going the wrong way here late.
Yeah, Frank Busilia wanted to cut in, but Rod Flagg was right there. He did not have enough space. Looks like there might only be 4, possibly 5 cars in it, as the other cars, Greg Hooks, in fact, falling behind now, trying to catch up desperately. Only 2 laps left of this one. On the outside there, we have cars all over the place right now. The 94 passing, making it 3 wide, passing the 88 car. He's not made any friends tonight, the 088, but he hangs in there, Chris Jennings, and these 5 cars have the race to themselves right now. Rod Flagg sitting in 3rd position, Ramon Evans in 2nd place, Shane McKeechan in 1st place. A good race to the end. Yeah, only 2 laps to go.
Yeah, and it looks like Frank Busilia just gave the 088 of Craig Jennings a little tap, got him a little out of shape, and Frank was able to get down to that inside line right behind Rod Flagg as they get ready to come back across the line with 1 lap to go here, guys. Here we go. We're going to get a green flag finish. Let's hope for it.
Final lap, Evan, and we still got Shane McKeechan followed by Ramon Evans doing a great job there. Rod Flagg, can he do anything with Frank Busilia on the outside perhaps to try and make a run to the end? Now 2 of them go to the outside. We've got Ramon Evans. The others stay on the inside. Ramon's going to be left hanging out to dry there. And Shane McKeechan still on the inside, hanging into that. He loses it right there. Rod Flagg gets on the top, and an accident taking place. Contact certainly, Evan.
Look who's in the lead.
Now the 94 through the middle. He's going to get this one.
Wow, some pretty hard racing there towards the end, but they all managed to hang on to it. Looks like Frank Busilia crosses the line first. Shane McKeechan in 2nd, possibly Ramon Evans in 3rd. Chris Jennings got left out there. What happened to Rod Flagg? Didn't see what happened to him.
And that was, again, guys, they're pushing, and out of nowhere, Shane McKeechan just gets turned from the lead, and he comes back up naturally after getting on the apron. He ends up putting Rod Flagg in the wall. The 94 of Frank Busilia saw the 088 go down to the inside and had enough of that. He chopped him off, and the 088 lost some speed. And Frank Busilia, who I said was going the wrong way, he was 5th place, guys. He goes right up through the middle. A last-second push by McKeechan is going to come up 6/100 short, and Frank Busilia is going to go back-to-back wins. He won race number 6, and he takes the All-Star win.
And I had a feeling about Frank Busilia. I really did. I had a feeling. Smart racer, fast racer, and he was there at the end, guys.
And Chris Jennings, guys, also not happy. Some harsh words towards the other drivers here post-race.
Yeah, okay. Well, I tell you what, we are going to take a break, and we are going to get things to quieten down a little bit. We're going to see what they're talking about in the chat, and then we'll come back and we'll give you the provisional standings as per iRacing. and we will hopefully do some driver interviews. The driver interviews are going to be fantastic today. See you soon. Well, folks, welcome back to the iSuperSpeedway.com All-Star Race, where we saw, I don't know how to describe it, to be honest. However, we'll talk about that with the drivers in a few seconds' time. So let's first go through the standings. Sean, you want to take us through?
Sure, Richard. Started on the pole and finished on the pole at the top of the podium there. Frank Basilia, first place. Shane McEachin in second. Ramon Evans down there in third. Chris Jennings in fourth. Greg Hooks in fifth. Donnie Giratano in sixth. Dana Osborne in seventh. Rod Flagg falling all the way back to eighth. Glenn Hedrick, tough night for Glenn, in ninth. And Jared Haggerty rounding out 10th place.
And the further finishes, we did have Glenn Hedrick in, so we called that already, 11th place. Tony Fenn, 17 laps down. Mark Jorgensen, 19 laps down in 12th place. Rodney Wofford, also 19 laps down in 13th place. Dawn Artman, 25 laps down in 14th place. Brandon Chaberko, 15th place, 29 laps down. Ray Rittenhouse exited early, 16th place, 57 laps down, as did Josh Hanna, the final 17th place. He was 58 laps down. Those are the provisional standings in the race. Congratulations to Frank Basilia, of course, and in fact, congratulations to anybody who finished this race. Now we're going to go to driver interviews, and first up, we have our third place finisher, Ramon Evans, who will be speaking with Sean. Go ahead, Sean.
Yes, we get Ramon here in for an interview real quick and talk to him about his third place finish. Ramon, good evening, and congratulations on your third place finish tonight. Pretty rough night out there. Tell us a little bit about it.
I didn't start off too good. The car was a bit to handle there. It seemed like the track came into us after about 5 or 6 laps. Then I was not comfortable with it at all night. I'm surprised that I ended up where I did, because we thought for sure we didn't have a top 15 place car.
Do you think the new setup that was put in place for tonight's race, do you think that had anything to do with it?
It was a little different. It had something to do with it, yes.
All race we were trying to figure out what was going on out there. It didn't always look like that it was driver error. Did you feel anything different, maybe from the iRacing side, having to do with this new build and some of the updates that they've made?
It just seems at times it's just free in, just so free in that you almost lose it. But try to overcome that, and it seems to be fine after a couple laps.
Well, it was a lot of work for you tonight. You were up and down the field this evening, but you managed to get there on the podium, and we congratulate you. Is there anybody you'd like to thank tonight?
Yeah, I'd like to thank Rod for the series and GSRC for the broadcast.
All right. Well, we thank you. You have a good evening, sir, and we will catch you next week.
Okay, thank you, gentlemen.
Okay, and now we will bring in Shane McEachin, who finished in second place, and I'll have a few words with Shane McEachin. Shane, I'm going to take you all the way. We won't even talk about what happened during the race, but I want to take you all the way to lap number 74. You are leading the race at that point. Behind you is Frank Basilia. Tell us about that last lap.
I felt like we had it locked down with that last lap. Got a little bump from behind going into the turn, and it pushed me up in the groove, and trying to bring it back down, the cars didn't agree with each other. I got put down on the apron, and when I come back up, I was able to hold on to second, but definitely wanted that win.
Rightio. Well, Shane, we were trying to figure out all race long what it was that was causing all those accidents, because it wasn't all driver error. There was something weird going on out there. Can you tell us or shed any light on that?
Yeah, there did seem to be some, I guess, electrical issues. the cars were. It seemed to be more of a server issue than the setup or anything like that.
Really? So you thought the setup was fine because we were blaming it on setup. You'd find cars going into turns and just suddenly going left or going up into the wall. It was weird.
Yeah, I noticed there was a couple that get loose around the travel on exit. I didn't have that problem, but I do know that there was 2 or 3 that did. I think the 5 had that issue. Just random. It's kind of bizarre. Not sure what was causing that.
Yeah, the other thing that I wanted to ask you is nobody's asked this question yet. The pushing, it seemed difficult to get anywhere near somebody, particularly in the turns tonight.
Yeah, it was definitely. The setup is momentum based. I know on the starts, if you weren't on it, take you at least a lap to pull up on anybody, and you couldn't afford to let off any. You had to stay in it, and if you get a run, you got to go to the lane and stay in it, or else you just drop back.
All right. Well, Shane, look, congratulations on finishing second in what was a really, really tough race. 75 laps of hard racing, lots of cautions, so lots of stoppages. Did you use up all your three quick fixes?
Yes, I believe we did. And kind of early, so it was kind of balls to the wall. Just go with what we got and try to stay out front. Couldn't afford to get back in the pack and risk it.
Alrighty. All right. Well, thanks for talking to us tonight. Good finish in the second place. At least that'll go in your resume. Shane McKeechan second in the All-Star race. So really good. Thanks for talking to us. Well, our
Thank you,
final
guys. Thank you,
race interview tonight will be with Frank Basilia III, who found himself in first place at the end of this race. And Evan Pasocco will be talking to Frank. Go ahead, Evan.
Yeah, he found himself in first at the start of the night, and nearly 2 hours later, he's able to survive and finish in the number one spot down here with Frank Basilia, tonight's winner. Frank, to the back, to the front, to the back, to the front again, and then there in those closing laps, you're able to get it. Walk us through that white flag lap.
Oh man, last lap, all-star race, no points, no tears. I don't know if I ever came off the gas. I was just trying to push and go where they weren't, and I saw Shane get loose. I guess Rod gave him a shot, or I'm not really sure what happened, but it opened the door and I drifted high, got a little loose, and then came back down a little bit. But I was not coming off the gas pedal until the race was done. There's no holds barred that last lap for sure.
Now, a topic of discussion that we had up here in the broadcast booth, and maybe you can shed some light on it from being behind the wheel, is we saw a lot of strange incidents today, and not sure if it was the setup or some of the updates, the build that's currently on the iRacing, but we saw a lot of times where what looked like normal contact, a guy would just barely get into somebody, and the car that is on the receiving end of that contact would just shoot right up the hill or get crazy loose. And we heard a couple of the drivers saying that there was really no rear end security. What were you feeling in the car? Because we saw a lot of strange incidents.
Felt great to me. I got loose. If you touch the apron, it gets real sideways real fast. I know the set we used before was a little more forgiving, but it was maybe a tick free the first lap or two of a run. Other than that, I was really pleased with the set. It was just I think we all needed one of these nights where we could beat and bang and no points on the line and just go at it. It was pretty fun out there to me.
And definitely so. Now that the All-Star race is over, moving forward, we're at the halfway point in the season. You're up at the top of the pile there, and 6 down, 6 to go. How confident are you moving forward into the second half of this, chasing that championship?
I'm pretty confident. But the bottom line is just got to run one race at a time. That's how I approach all of them. Just if you're not having the best nights, just salvage what you can. Never give up. That's what I did tonight, and that's what I'll do every night out here. And we'll go from there and try to go for the two-peat.
And definitely, you were able to put that 94 in victory lane. Sponsors and shout-outs. Who makes it happen for you and the crew?
Yeah. Again, thanks to none of us can do this without Rod Flagg. He's the man. He's the commissioner, I guess. But big thanks to him and GSRC for the broadcast. 3D Racing, all my family and friends who support me in all this. It's a great feeling to get the All-Star, and I think I'm going to enjoy myself a nice cold beer. Maybe some Miller Weiser.
After that long endurance one, enjoy that one. Congrats and good luck moving forward here.
Thank you very much, guys. Take it easy.
Guys, that's going to do it down here from Victory Lane. Frank Bustillo is able to walk away after qualifying on pole position. The 94 is tonight's big winner.
Okay, and thank you, Evan. Well, that brings us to one more interview, and that will be the league organizer, Rod Flagg. Rod, want to talk to you about tonight. Came up to your expectations or not? I suspect not.
No, I think it actually was a quality race. We've been struggling with the new build, for a couple weeks, and really we've always kind of had the fixed setup that iRacing has given us, and it really threw us for a loop the last couple of weeks. And so we really tried this week. We were gonna throw something else under the motor and try to get things figured out and just try something different, and so we could get some better racing out there. And I think we did have a couple of really good runs out there. The longevity of the race really built some attrition, so we did see a couple wrecks happen that maybe shouldn't have happened, but at the same time I think it did allow us to not be so tight into the corners, so we generally did have some better racing out there, but at the same time some attrition did happen that did look and show some wrecks, and there were some stupid things that happened, but I think we had a good night. Congratulations to Frank and what he did tonight. He's the champion, and again, he represents our series very well. I think that we had a real challenging week to say the least. I think a lot of tempers flared last week, and a lot of people were a little upset at some of the things happening. But we all kind of came back together and made this thing happen again. But again, I'm pleased with what happened. I really feel bad for getting in the back of Shane there. We had a real good race going into turn 3. My intentions were probably not to push him to the win, to probably try to get the win myself there coming in tri-oval, but I think just the way his car drifted up into 3, I ended up getting into his car, so definitely made some contact between me and the 28, and so I'm real sorry about that, but I'm okay with tonight. I think tonight was actually pretty good.
All right. Well, look, we were throughout the race. There were quite a few cautions. I think we had 10 cautions or so. So cautions, not particularly concerned by the cautions themselves, but we were a little puzzled in the booth here as to why some of those incidents happened. It looked to us like things that would normally be taken for granted were causing cautions. You just touch somebody and suddenly they'd spin out crazily. So not sure, we couldn't put our finger on it. Do you think that the setup had something to do with that? Because the cars looked a lot looser tonight than they normally do.
Yeah, I think that it had a little bit to do with it. We definitely went to a more looser setup because the problem with the fixed setup in iRacing is it doesn't allow you to. It starts pushing after a few laps into the corner, and it really makes the cars real tight. And so I think we're really trying to find that balance between loose and tight. And I think we'll go back to the table. We have a really great setup builder in Thomas Dacus, who's really known in iRacing for building some really great setups, and we're gonna go back to the table and find something really good next weekend when we go to Daytona. So I think we'll come back next week, probably get that issue with the apron and a little bit that too loose. I think we're just trying to find that happy medium. I know we'll come back to the table next week and have something better.
Okay. Well, Rod, you do a great job as usual, and we thank you for talking to us tonight. We look forward to finishing off the series with you. We're getting close to the chase now, or are we in the chase already?
I think we're definitely. I think we've got six races to go, and Frank has done what he did last year. Is he's got a big points lead over myself and a couple others involved in that points chase. I think Brandon Chaburko, got Donnie Giratano and Rodney Wofford and some of the guys that kind of been up there for last season as well. So we're going to definitely have a great finish, and I think that we'll have some really good racing. I think we've gone to work on making this thing better as far as the setup goes, and I think we're going to see some really better, a lot better racing coming the last 6 races of the season. So looking forward to it, and appreciate all you guys do, and you guys always do a tremendous job.
Well, thank you, Rod, and rest assured we are partners, and we will stay with you to the end. And good luck with it all. Well, guys, that is about it. I want to get a couple of last thoughts from both of you real quick. As you guys say in America, I believe that's completely incorrect English, but go ahead anyway. Starting with you, Sean.
Well, I thought we saw on the whole, hey, listen, we saw a green flag finish. We haven't gotten a lot of those, so that in itself was good. I still think we were on to something there. I still think that there was something going on behind the scenes that, we weren't privy to as far as iRacing goes. We saw some strange stuff tonight, but I think in the end we saw a good race. 17 cars start the race, a lot less than that finish. It was a tough night for several, but like I said, in the end, I think we saw a pretty good race, and I'm going to agree with Rod. I think they're really working hard to give us a better brand of racing, and I look forward to next week just as much as I look forward to this week.
Thank you, Sean. Evan, your last thoughts?
Yeah, I have to agree with him on his comments. I mean, you look at the stat sheet, and you'll look at the amount of caution flags you have. I don't really think that plays due dividends to how the drivers were going at it. And he said right there that they're trying out a new setup, which is good, always looking to improve the competition level, and it did make these cars loose. And I think that if we didn't see that, if we didn't see them implement this new setup, you wouldn't have seen half the cautions. But if they didn't implement the new setup, then it shows that they're satisfied and they're always trying to improve. So you got to give credit to them for putting in this new set and trying to improve the racing, and I'm sure they're going to come back with a good product for next week, and we look forward to the second half of the season.
Thank you, Evan. Well, folks, that is it for us tonight. Thank you for sticking with us if you indeed did so. As usual, we thank Rod Flagg once again and his team who organized this league. It's been said they're working hard to improve things, and we wish them good luck with that. We'd also like to thank the makers of our various software and hardware that help to make the stream possible. iRacing.com, XSplit, Twitch TV, Audio Technica, Behringer, and Ava Media as well. Thank you to the team today. Giancarlo, great work behind the cameras there, my friend. Sean, great commentary tonight, and Evan as well. It's always a lot of fun to work with you. Well, I haven't worked with you that much, but it's been certainly fun tonight to work with you guys. If you'd like to find out some more about us, GSRC, you will find all the information at our website, www.globalsimracingchannel.com. Have a look there. You'll find archived races, race highlights as well. We're also on Twitter at GSR Channel. And our Facebook page is facebook.com/Global Sim Racing Channel. Very, very big thanks to Doug Beard for creating the camera sets that you saw during the stream. A very special guy, Dougie, for creating those sets for us. Special thank you also to Eric Eckhom, who provides us with much of our music. You will find it not only here with us on GSRC, but in TV commercials, movie trailers, iTunes, and even Spotify. If you like the music, get on to Eric and tell him where you heard it. At Eric Eckhom is his handle. The A-Main series will return live once again at Daytona International for the iSuperSpeedway.com. We're getting close now towards the end of the series, so it's certainly hotting up. Come back on August the 22nd and see some more fun in the Florida Stomping Grounds. Still to come, we've got on August 17, that is tomorrow. Well, actually, I'm in Australia, so that'll be in a couple of days' time. Northwest Majors at Bristol in the Silverado Trucks, 9 p.m. EST. August 24, the VSRA, that's the Virtual Sim Racing Association. They start their new season, and they'll be running the Riley prototype and well, that's the only car they'll be running, and it'll be at Daytona International, the road course, of course. August 27, American Sim Racing Series at Mosport, round number 14 in the Silverado trucks. So oval cars on a street circuit, that'll be fine. At 9 p.m. EST. September 6th, Blondie's MX5 World Tour starts again, a favorite of mine. And they'll be kicking off at Circuit of the Americas at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That is it from us. Until next time, race clean, race hard, and we will see you on track.